Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and this is Guitar Solo Reactions. Today we're back with PHISH, and we are doing the song Miss You. This show is from 10/28/2018, and this is brought to you by Curtis, who bought me yet another coffee. Thanks, Curtis. I'm going to kind of paraphrase a note he sent to me talking about this song. It's about Trey's sister, Christy, I believe is her name, and kind of in honor of her. And he mentions, Curtis mentions that this is the biggest tearjerker in the band's kind of catalog of songs. His favorite version is actually from the Wrigley Field in 2016, but that's no longer on YouTube. So he said this version's pretty good as well. So I think this might resonate with a lot of people, and hopefully me as well. And I do remember some mention of this in the Trey documentary movie about him and, him and the band and all of that. And I'm blanking on what that movie is called right now. I've watched it quite a few times, so it's amazing that I don't remember the title. But let's get into this one, Miss You.
You're smiling at me from your picture frame, and I miss you. My life keeps on changing, but you stay the same. I miss you. So many moments that we should have shared. I miss you. And the days turn to years, and it hasn't stopped yet. The memories we shared, I will never forget. No, I will never forget. There's a hole in my heart that will never be filled. I miss you. This all should get easier, but it never will. I miss you. I float through the days and the long, lonely nights. I miss you. And I hear your footsteps. You're coming down the stairs, lost in your laughter, the sun in your hair. A brief recollection, the light in your eyes. I see the reflection, but it passes by. It passes me by. your picture frame, and I miss you. Every morning I wake up and I whisper your name. I miss you. You're in the faces of people I see on the street. You're everywhere. 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 You're everywhere.
What a sweet and beautiful piece. Yeah, I don't have tons to say. Well, actually, I do, but some great, really melodic guitar work. Some of it, and with the piano, it reminded me a little bit of the Allman Brothers and the tonality of it. But I was going to say, compositionally, kind of interesting. What I've noticed with Fish, it's more of a it's it's not like there's a lot of altered chords in it per se as far as progressions go. I mean, a previous song I heard him doing like the sharp nine chord, uh, and stuff like that. So I know he does diminished chords and stuff like that occasionally, but it's pretty few and far between. Where this one's, I'm trying to think of the key. It might be an E, but it seems like it's kind of going more like around the circle of fifths to make kind of that. There was kind of a change there that isn't that first part. How am I trying to say it? The opening phrase, kind of that little vamp at the beginning, and then it kind of goes off in the cadence or the timing's really interesting. but the chords themselves aren't like totally removed from that key. And I don't think it's an E. I was just throwing that out. But um, it's kind of interesting because it's like it's a very quirky style of composition because when if you take jazz guitar playing or whatever or even some modern, well, definitely like prog rock and stuff, you kind of add in where you take different kind of chord sequences is using like diminished and augmented chords and then kind of to put you into another key to kind of space something out, stuff like that. So it's kind of like their approach is really, really interesting. Or Trey's, whoever the writer of the song is, which I'm assuming is Trey because it's about his sister. Um, that kind of harmonic approach is really interesting, and it's what's always kind of made them unique to me, and also kind of the part that is the part that what I miss in them at compositionally at least is kind of these really dissonant surprises that I love in a lot of the music. I love now. I'm totally into complete dissonant stuff, whether it's Mahavishnu Orchestra or like the extreme metal, so or King Crimson or whatever. So I always love that the dichotomy of like a beautiful melody up against like a super dissonant chordal background or going back and forth, kind of a tension and release thing. How they do that compositionally or improvising ways is just how you build up the energy. So they're kind of staying more in a kind of a more, more mixolydian, more dominant sounding chord progression, and the tension builds from not necessarily pushing notes that are somewhat out of the key or kind of extensions, but kind of just building the energy up and kind of creating like this group version of that. Whereas as a soloist in a lot of bands, how you create tension as a guitar player is you push things out of the key. You could simply do like what Mike Stern does, and you're doing like a major or like a dominant arpeggio, and you move it up a half step, or Pat Metheny does as well, or a lot of jazz players do it as well, and now rock players. But so you're creating tension because those notes are not wrong at all, but they're definitely not in that necessarily. They're not chordal um, notes that are in the chord that's kind of being implied. So you're implying other chords over the top of another chord that may make it sound diminished or augmented or whatever. And that's just my layman's approach to guitar theory. So take it as you will, but I do. I could demonstrate it more than I could probably talk about it, but that's what that song just brought to me for some reason, and the chord changes is what triggered that whole thought. Now, I watched the entire thing without commenting because in honor of the song, I don't think it does in any justice for me to say, oh yeah, Trey's doing this. I mean, he used basically his standard overdriven guitar tone that for that song, and he did some really great tasty stuff lead wise, solo wise, however you want to put it. And the song itself is beautiful and it speaks for itself. So there wasn't a lot to talk about as far as the guitar sound or tone or whatever, except I love it. So I am Brian. This is Guitar Solo Reactions. Uh, I love PHISH. I love Trey. Love the band. Um, Thanks, Curtis, for buying me yet another coffee. And we'll see you soon. Bye.